and welcome to the Heidi Roizen oral case study for Management 6334, a seminar in organizational behavior. My name is Leslie Vineyard, and today we'll be exploring Heidi Roizen's strengths across her network during her career, as well as the course material covered in this particular model and how it correlates to Heidi's life. Roizen graduated with a creative writing degree from Stanford, and she knew the job market in Silicon Valley was quite bleak at this point in time. And here at this stage is where Heidi really began to hone in on her networking skills, as she sought a job with Tandem, utilizing her degree. And she reached out to a friend of hers who was currently working at Tandem, gaining access to the individual who was over the hiring process. Soon after, Heidi would become the editor of the company's newsletter there at Tandem. And here in this phase of her career, Heidi knew it was important to stay abreast of all of the company events. And in order to do so, she realized she would have to work very closely with upper management, including the CEO. Heidi also realized the importance of consistency in maintaining long-lasting relationships. And that would then pay off big time for Roizen, as she would later ask the CEO of Tandem for a letter of recommendation in order for her to go to graduate school for her business degree. After graduation, Heidi would join forces with her brother, who was a computer programmer, helping him to grow his business, Teamaker, short for Table Maker. And in 1982, they would launch a spreadsheet program, which was very similar to Lotus 123. Heidi and her brother wanted to operate on their own cash flow, but knew that they would have a hard time doing so and remaining competitive. And so Heidi possessed the strength of an outgoing personality, and she really utilized this to step out and make connections with those in the press, asking them to write product reviews for the new Teamaker product. Heidi would also begin to strengthen her network by attending many conferences, allowing her to grow and stretch within her industry and build upon her current skill set. After doing so, Heidi would be asked to sit on various panels being interviewed, and this allowed her to kind of become an authoritative figure, if you will, or an expert in her field. In 1994, Teamaker sold to Deluxe. However, Heidi stayed on as CEO because of the relationships and networks that she built and possessed at that time. Soon after, in 1996, Heidi became VP of Apple's worldwide relations. Here she used her current network to mend the ties between Apple and Microsoft, and relied heavily on her performance and consistency when calling upon friends she may not have spoken with in a while. Heidi always made good on her promises, and she was a big believer that if relationships were built on performance and consistency, they could have few interactions and still maintain a healthy networking relationship. While at this time at Apple, Heidi began to grow overwhelmed. Because of her high-profile position, as well as the volume of requests that she was receiving for assistance, Heidi began to experience what we call burnout. And because of this burnout phase that she was in, Heidi would make a career change, becoming a mentor capitalist. During this phase of her mentor capitalism, Heidi would exchange her time and experience for equity in startup companies that she was working with. She always utilized an open door policy with those individuals, and because of this, it allowed her to demonstrate her energetic personality. But because of her energetic personality, Heidi would often be asked to sit on boards of these startup companies. And Roizen realized that she needed to be more cautious than she had previously been, especially at her time with Apple. Here she would carefully evaluate and balance the relationship before making any commitment. Heidi always wanted to make sure that both parties were getting as much as they were putting in, if you will. During this time as a mentor capitalist, Heidi really began to miss the team environment, and she would make a career change by joining forces with SoftBank. At SoftBank, some of Heidi's strengths that she demonstrated were recognizing that everyone's time was equally important, and this allowed her to really focus on the win-win relationships within her network. As we move forward and kind of explore the course material and how it correlates to Heidi's life, we first start by Adam Grant's givers and takers. Givers are a type of people who are described as always being willing to help other individuals, help those individuals even when the benefit exceeds the personal cost for themselves. Takers are quite the opposite. They are someone who views the world as a competitive place and are only out to take care of themselves. They're never willing to move their work to the side and assist an individual first. The equal balance here is what we would call a matcher. A matcher is someone who's always willing to exchange for favors, but is very cautious. Just like Roizen had been, they don't want to be exploited, and so they balance the working relationship with both parties. Matchers are also believers in karma. They're always willing to do a good deed and assist someone in need, all the while knowing that if they do so, it most likely will be returned to them. As we move forward and look at the Caldini case, we explore the 6 principles of persuasion. They are reciprocity, scarcity, authority, consistency, liking, and consensus. As we look back and reflect on Roizen's career and the strengths that she possesses, a few of these principles of persuasion really stand out in my mind. Liking, for example. Roizen genuinely liked to meet new people, and if they liked her, she liked them equally as much and vice versa, really maintained a great network. Reciprocity. She put in equally as much as she expected to return. Consistency. Roizen made good on every promise. If she said she would do something, she made sure she did. And those in her network knew that they could count on her. Lastly, authority. Roizen used her network to gain access to knowledge and became an expert in her field. If we look back to her time setting on those boards when she was a mentor capitalist, she really became a leader in the industry and became an expert. Lastly, we looked at the Uzi and Dunlap case, and here we explored the strengths in building a network by accessing private information, diverse skill set, and power. I truly believe that Roizen was able to do all 3 of these things in order to not only grow her network, but maintain her network, all the while influencing individuals within that network. That concludes the Roizen case study. I thank you for your time today.